right, today we're going to unlock an AI strategy that is, no exaggeration, a massive strategic accelerator for pretty much any organization out there. It's called transfer learning, and honestly, it's changing the whole game of who gets to play and win with artificial intelligence.
So let's just start with this question, because it's a big one. Do you think building powerful, cutting-edge AI is a game that's only for the huge tech companies? You know, the ones with endless cash and just mountains of data? For a long time, the answer was kinda yeah. But what if there's a smarter way in? A more accessible path to harness all that power?
I love this analogy. It just makes it so clear. For years, building an AI model was like deciding you want to bake a cake and starting by mining the ore to build your own oven. I mean, it's just incredibly difficult, super expensive. The smart way, you just buy a really great oven that already exists and you learn how to tweak the settings for your specific recipe. That shift in thinking, that's everything. That's what we're talking about today.
So how do we get to this smarter approach? Well, the answer is this amazing technique that really acts like a key, you know? It unlocks the gate and gives you a much, much smarter starting point for any AI project. And that technique is called transfer learning. It's a method where a model that's already been trained for one task is then reused as the foundation, as the starting point for a second, related task. The most important thing to get here is that you are not starting from zero. Think about it this way, like you're hiring someone. Training a model from scratch, that's like hiring a brand new graduate. They're smart, they're capable, but you have to teach them absolutely everything. It takes a ton of time and resources. But transfer learning, that's like hiring an experienced pro who walks in the door already knowing 80% of the job. You just have to teach them that last 20% that's unique to your company, and boom, they're adding value almost right away. And look, this isn't just some clever little technical shortcut. It is a genuine strategic accelerator. So let's break down the real-world competitive advantages this gives you, whether you're a tiny startup or a giant corporation.
First up, the big one, cost. I mean, this is huge. By not having to train a massive model from the very, very beginning, your development costs just plummet. You're basically leveraging all the hard work that's already been done, saving thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in computer time and engineer salaries.
And what about data? That's often the biggest roadblock, right? With transfer learning, you can potentially slash your data needs by up to 90%. Let that sink in for a second. 90%. This is a complete game changer. It means you can build incredibly accurate models with just a tiny fraction of the data you used to need. It really opens up powerful AI to everyone. And finally, speed. In today's market, getting your product out the door first is a massive, massive advantage. By skipping that super long, resource-hungry initial training phase, you can get your AI solutions deployed in a fraction of the time. You can react to what the market needs way faster than your competition. So it really all comes down to these three core advantages, doesn't it? You need way less data, you save a ton of money, and you get your product out there faster. That is an incredibly powerful combo for any business strategy. Okay. So this all sounds great in theory, but where is this stuff actually being used? Let's look at a couple of real-world examples to see how this goes from just a cool idea to something that creates real value. So in healthcare, for example, researchers can take a model that's already an expert at recognizing everyday objects, like cats and dogs, and they can fine-tune it to spot rare diseases on X-rays, even if they only have a handful of examples. Or in retail, a company can take a general recommendation engine and quickly teach it to understand their very specific niche catalog of products, boosting sales without having to build the whole system from scratch. Okay, now let's put you in the driver's seat. Imagine you run a startup. Your goal is to use AI to find tiny defects in solar panels. The problem? You've only managed to collect 500 images of these defects, and all the experts are telling you you need tens of thousands. So what's your move here? Do you just give up? Tell your investors it's going to be 3 years while you collect more photos? What's the smart strategic choice? The answer is you adapt. You use transfer learning. You find a powerful, pre-trained image model that's already out there, and you just fine-tune it using your 500 solar panel images. This works because the technique is specifically designed for exactly this kind of situation, when you have limited data. This brings us to our final, and maybe the most important takeaway. We're going to give you a dead simple decision framework that you can use for any AI project you might come across in the future. The next time you're starting a new AI initiative, just remember this. Frame your entire decision around one simple but really powerful question. Should we adapt an existing expert, or do we need to build one from scratch?
And to answer that big question, you only need to ask two smaller ones. First, is there a pre-trained model already out there that does something kind of similar to what we need? And second, do we really have enough of our own unique data, and we're talking tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of examples, to justify building a whole new one from the ground up?
And the logic here is just so clear and powerful. If a good enough model already exists and you don't have a gigantic, unique data set of your own, well, the choice is pretty much made for you. Your strategy has to be transfer learning. Just following this one simple rule can save your organization an absolutely incredible amount of time and money. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. A big question, really. Now that you know you don't always have to build from scratch, now that you can stand on the shoulders of giants, so to speak, what new, ambitious problems are you going to solve? What becomes possible when the starting line is moved 90% of the way to the finish line for you?